Hello everyone, welcome to StudyIQ English. Let's look at a very fascinating topic from GS Paper 3, Space Technology. We are talking about the ISS, International Space Station. We are aware that it is the largest orbital research facility maintained in the low Earth orbit. It has been created through a joint partnership between NASA, European Space Agency, Roscosmos, Japan's JAXA, as well as Canadian Space Agency. But now, as we are entering 2026, time has come when the operational life of ISS will be coming to an end. So who will fill this vacuum? Well, it is being said that private companies are now coming in the picture. They will fill up this gap and now they will start creating private, small, compact space stations. Is that true? Let's look at a very interesting development that has happened with regards to American company, a private company from US known as Vast Space. It is now going to launch the world's first fully private space station and the name is going to be Heaven 1. So what is Heaven 1 all about? Well, the International Space Station has been serving humanity for at least 2 decades now. But time is approaching in 2030 when we are going to see it getting deorbited. So who will now take care of these operations? And that's where private companies come in the picture. Well, we can safely presume that time for privatization is now there. We had discussed something similar as we were looking at India's nuclear program. We were looking at India's own nuclear energy as a very major shift towards renewable energy. We recently passed the Shanti Bill and lot of us were saying that it is a step towards attracting more foreign investment, more privatization. Today also, as we look at the space domain, we are looking into privatization itself. Now the time has come to shift from government-owned space stations in the low Earth orbit to private commercial space stations. In fact, NASA itself has declared that now NASA has plans to transition from owning any kind of space station to purchasing the services from commercial space stations. It is very efficient in terms of finance. It is also very efficient in terms of its operational responsibility. So that's what we are looking at in this short video. Let's understand what is Heaven 1 all about. Now we know that International Space Station is a massive structure. It is all about a huge, a very cumbersome, a very technical infrastructure that is known as ISS. But today, quite unlike the large multi-module space stations, this Heaven 1 is much smaller. It is small, it is very compact, it is not multi-module, it is single module station, which means it doesn't have to be installed in the low Earth orbit part by part. In fact, at once, it will be sent into the low Earth orbit aboard a single SpaceX rocket known as Falcon 9. Now that's very important about Heaven 1. It is unlike the ISS that used to be multi-module. This is single module. Very small as compared to ISS, very compact and very efficient. Therefore, it can be launched at one go. There is no need for any kind of cost or complexity issues here. It can or it will be launched by using the Falcon 9 rocket that is by SpaceX. Now, as we talk about the Falcon 9 rocket, it has also been in the news for a very long time. What is it all about? So Falcon 9 is a reusable 2-stage rocket which has been designed and created by SpaceX. In 2020, a major milestone was achieved as Falcon 9 became the first commercial rocket to launch humans into orbit. So that's why it was very famous. Now we are also talking about what technology is the speciality of Heaven 1. So Heaven 1 will depend on Crew Dragon for power, all kind of infrastructural support and all kind of crew transportation. This also therefore is avoiding new technology in terms of risky advances. So there is no risk as such that's involved here. Apart from that, it also will expedite, it will hasten the pace of these developments. Now that we just spoke about Crew Dragon, so what are we referring to? Now looking at SpaceX Crew Dragon, again it is a reusable autonomous spacecraft which has been designed to transport crew into the International Space Station and other destinations. Okay, so that's the important thing about Crew Dragon, and hence Haven 1 will depend on Crew Dragon for all kind of infrastructural support. But as we have discussed multiple times here in this video about the low Earth orbit, what do you exactly mean by that? Now do remember, few months before, in fact few weeks before, we had spoken about orbital debris. We also saw a case study where Shenzhou 2, a spacecraft, a space mission from China, had got impacted because of orbital debris. It is also called orbital waste. Too many particles and too many disintegrated parts of various kind of space operations, various infrastructure that keep on rotating and that are heavy when it comes to their amount and intensity in the low Earth orbit. Although it's also true that most of the satellites are launched in the low Earth orbit, but also there is a major risk of their colliding with orbital debris. So it was in the news in a very big way. Now looking at low Earth orbit, we are talking about 160 kilometer to about 2000 kilometer above the Earth. It is an Earth-centric orbit with an altitude of broadly 2000 kilometers, and due to its close proximity. Now when you talk about various kind of satellites, if satellites are very close to the low Earth orbit, then what happens? It becomes much easier for us to maintain a kind of telecommunication with them, to also make sure that we are getting imaging from them. It enables us to do Earth observation, and that's the beauty of low Earth orbit. That's the preferred destination for most of the satellites. But do also remember the problem of orbital debris. So now this is exactly where low Earth orbit is exactly where we are going to probably launch in coming times, perhaps in 2027. If there are no delays happen as per American company, we will launch this new Haven 1 exactly here. As I just said, it will be launched through the Falcon 9 reusable rocket. And if you talk about NASA, then NASA has made its intention quite clear. Then rather than creating, maintaining elaborate space stations, it's much better to purchase services from private stations. What's the point of owning them when we can buy services from them? So how is it even significant really for the UPSC exam? Why? Because it marks a new era, a major shift from state-led, that is government-owned space stations, to now private-led commercial space infrastructure. At the same time, it also means now most of the governments themselves are preferring to actually outsource the responsibility to private players rather than take it by themselves. It will strengthen, improve commercial space economy, and if this experiment is successful, then Haven 1 will establish a very good role model for future human presence in the space after the International Space Station. Now do remember, because we are talking about the International Space Station right now, few months back it was again in the news as Axiom 4 mission was also being spoken about. If you remember, during Axiom 4 mission, that was the private crewed space mission in which from India astronaut Mr. Subhanshu Shukla had taken part. Now a lot of people say that was a great experiment for India, because as the crew went to ISS, it also gave India so much inputs for India's upcoming Gaganyaan mission. So don't forget that. Even for India, right now, many more future developments are lined up. Right? So that is how all these topics become important for UPSC. So remember, for the first time now we are going to create a private company based international station in the space. Alright, then let's follow it up with a practice question. Consider the following statements regarding Haven 1 and the post, that is after International Space Station architecture. 1. It is designed as a single module commercial space station to be launched in the low Earth orbit using a reusable launch vehicle. We just spoke about this. Second, the ISS is planned to permanently be handed over to private companies after 2030 for future operations. Or is it 3? NASA aims to change from owning space stations, from owning it to now purchasing services from commercially operated orbital platforms. Which of these statements do you think are valid? Now, it's quite an easy question if the topic is clear to you. But if you want the right answer to this question, then kindly please join our Telegram community. That's where we keep you posted with all the answers, with all the PDFs, with all the notes and various other answer improvement, essay writing, current affairs tips. Okay, so do that. And one more thing, a quick reminder about the SAIL program. Now, should you be writing the prelims exam in 2026, there is hardly any time to think. In fact, it's time to take action. And that's why we announced Success in Prelims initiative. At a price as low as $4999, you get a complete GS1 and CSAT preparation, books, complete syllabus material, as well as guidance, revision, everything intact. But even if at this price you are willing to explore more discount options, then use code SPLIVE. But just remember that the batch is beginning on 10th, and if you are writing the exam in 2027 or in 2028, then we have batches beginning on 7th February for both. Use code SPLIVE, you get more discount on the existing humble price. It's for everyone. English students, Hindi medium students, or who choose to learn, who prefer learning in the bilingual medium. It's for all of us. But start early because batch is beginning. If you join at the right time, for sure your preparation will absolutely be on track. So thank you so much.